I got ran over by a quarterback and I picked up the basketball. Next year, I didn't go to school. I was in home team hoops. Shout out my nigga DJ. Shout out my nigga Quails. If you know, you know. They birthed B&B Jelly. Brother Jelly. Brother Laszlo. Whatever. Listen, we hit 100. So you know it's consistent jelly in the building. If y'all know, I played football when I was about, I want to say like 7 years old. I was really nice. I played again when I was like 13, 14. When I entered high school, freshman year, I was pretty decent. I love football, but it's a very, very tough, brutal contact sport. Just like rugby. Rugby's even worse because there is no safety padding. There's nothing. But football, it's not for the weak, okay? You get hit once or twice, like I did. I got ran the fuck over. Drew, you probably remember that. I got ran over by a quarterback and I picked up the basketball. Next year, I didn't go to school. I was in home team hoops. Shout out my nigga DJ. Shout out my nigga Quails. If you know, you know. They birthed B&B Jelly. Brother Jelly. Brother Laszlo. Whatever. Brother Bear. We don't play football no more. I'm not built for that. I'm not even gonna lie. But listen here, we gonna get into it. Get this shit cracking. This is a one take. I ain't seen this shit at all. I promise y'all. I thought I was recording on that last video. I was not. I'm sauced right now. You know, part LORTAY got me. But I see it recording. I see the volume going up. Everything's right.
Smith was a force to be reckoned with. Drafted as the 11th, Anthony Wayne Smith was a force to be reckoned with.
Anthony Wayne Smith.
Drafted as the 11th overall pick in the 1990 NFL Draft, his talent on the field was undeniable. A towering presence, Smith could dismantle an offensive line with ease. His fans adored him, and his teammates trusted him to deliver. But behind the helmet and accolades lay a man wrestling with demons far darker than anyone could imagine. What followed was not just the fall of an NFL star. It was the descent of a man into unspeakable violence, leading to one of the most disturbing stories in the history of professional sports. Born in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Anthony Smith was a standout athlete from the start. His size and power made him a natural fit for football, and his relentless drive set him apart. After excelling in high school, he earned a scholarship to the University of Arizona, where he quickly gained a reputation as one of the most dominant defensive players in college football. The Los Angeles Raiders drafted him in 1990, a first-round pick destined for greatness. Over 8 seasons in the NFL, Smith built an impressive resume, 57.5 sacks, 190 tackles, and a reputation as a quarterback's worst nightmare. He was a cornerstone of the Raiders' defense and a nightmare for opposing offenses. But off the field, cracks began to show. Teammates whispered about his fiery temper. Coaches noted his unpredictable behavior. Some chalked it up to the intensity required to succeed in the NFL, but others saw hints of something far more troubling. When Smith retired in 1998, his departure from the game was unceremonious. Many players struggle to adjust to life after football, but few take a path as dark as Smith's. After retirement, Smith's life spiraled. His temper flared more often, and stories of violent outbursts became harder to ignore. By the early 2000s, the once celebrated athlete had become a man under suspicion, a man whose name would soon be tied to some gruesome crimes. The first major case came in 1999, with the abduction and murder of Kevin and Ricky Nettles. The brothers were kidnapped from a car wash, tortured, and branded with U-shaped burns on their faces. Their deaths were horrific, marked by deliberate cruelty that left investigators stunned. At the time, there wasn't enough evidence to link Smith to the crime, but whispers about his involvement began to circulate. In 2001, Dennis Henderson became the next victim. Kidnapped and tortured, he was stabbed over 40 times before his throat was slit. The violence
Stabbed 40 times. Slit his throat. We're not talking, I just wanted to kill, bro. We're talking, I wanted to torture, murder, make sure he felt this. This is very dark. This is very wicked.
violence wasn't just excessive, it was calculated. Investigators noted that Henderson's injury suggested someone who knew exactly how to inflict maximum pain. For years, these cases remained unsolved, haunting both law enforcement and the victims' families. But in the late 2000s, advancements in forensic science and witness testimonies reopened the investigations. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The evidence pointed to Anthony Smith. The reopening of the Nettles and Henderson cases revealed chilling details. The zip ties and ropes linked to Smith were eerily similar to those used on the victims. Witnesses identified Smith as being present at key locations tied to the crimes. Most disturbingly, investigators found books in Smith's home, titles like Kill Without Joy and Professional Killers, an inside look. These weren't casual reads. They suggested an obsession with the mechanics of murder. Prosecutors argued that Smith had been studying how to kill effectively, painting a portrait of a man who had turned his intelligence and physical power toward horrifying ends. But the most shocking revelation came in 2008, with the murder of Mauricio Ponce, a mechanic and former friend of Smith's. Ponce had been lured to a remote desert highway in Antelope Valley, where he was beaten, stomped, and shot. The brutality of the murder mirrored the earlier cases, solidifying the narrative that Smith was a calculated, sadistic killer. In 2012, Anthony Smith stood trial for the murders of Kevin and Ricky Nettles, Dennis Henderson, and Mauricio Ponce. The courtroom became a battleground of starkly contrasting narratives. The prosecution painted Smith as a cold-blooded killer. They described his crimes as meticulously planned acts of terror, designed to inflict maximum suffering. The branding of the Nettles brothers, the prolonged torture of Henderson, and the vicious killing of Ponce were presented as evidence of a man consumed by violence. The defense argued that the evidence was circumstantial. They pointed out the lack of DNA evidence and the absence of murder weapons. They claimed the zip ties and ropes could have been coincidental, and the books on killing were nothing more than morbid curiosities. But the jury was unconvinced. The testimonies of witnesses, the forensic evidence, and the sheer brutality of the crimes left little doubt. On November 5, 2015, Anthony Smith was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder. The jury deadlocked on the Ponce case.
This is a very long time after any of the murders took place. I genuinely believe people change. Things like this just cannot be gone accounted for. People aren't perfect at all, and by any means should you try to be perfect, because if you believe in the word, you will not be perfect. You will sin. It's simple as that. But contrary to that and what happened, there's a certain expectation that you're supposed to be holding yourself to where you just don't let it get this far. You see the things that you're doing and they may be wrong. And then you look yourself in the mirror and you say, I could be better. I could do better, and I'm going to do better. It should never get this far. Taking one's life is it's very deep. It's very deep. And then we have the ones that glorify the murder, that listen to the murder all day, every day. They glorify the gang life and all of that shit. But when it comes down to the bigger picture and the agenda that they're trying to push on us young black people, shout out the 100 subscribers. That's not one of the ones that I go for. It's not one of the ones that I will put my energy into. I put my energy into the music, the content, people that I hang around. And if you're one of those, comment below. You know exactly how I get down, bro. There's certain things in life that you just have to eliminate yourself from. And things like this, they're definitely one of those ones. They're definitely one of those ones. And if you see yourself get into any kind of situations that may become sticky, it's just best that you eliminate yourself from that, because it can become very sticky in a way that you cannot eliminate yourself from it. Just being present in a place, you can wrong time, wrong place, wrong time, whatever. It's true. It's real. And that's why you have to be very selective with the people that you call your close friends and that you allow to have access to you. For real.
Leaving it unresolved. Smith was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Anthony Smith's story is a tragic paradox. To millions of fans, he was a hero, a fierce competitor who embodied the grit and determination of professional football. But beneath the surface, he was a man consumed by rage, a man whose potential was overshadowed by unspeakable acts of violence. His case serves as a chilling reminder that the public image of an athlete can mask the darkest of truths. For the families of his victims, the verdict brought some closure, but it could never erase the pain of their loss. In the end, Smith's name would not be remembered for his dominance on the field, but for the trail of horror he left behind. Feel free to suggest a story you want to see using the link in the description.
You can do a lot of things while you're living, but there's certain things that you do while you're living that you just cannot come back from. And with that being said, you got to make sure you're making the correct decision every day just to become a little bit, and even if that's a little bit better than the person you were yesterday. Simple as that. Simple as that. Just become a little bit better. And that can be in multiple different forms, regardless if you stop cussing as much as you did yesterday, regardless if you're eating better than you were yesterday, if you worked out today and you didn't yesterday, if you said you wanted to be a content creator and you started today and you weren't doing it yesterday, whatever that is, just continue on that path and get away from people that may hinder that version of you, because it's very possible to just go down the wrong path with such a slight decision. All it takes is one decision, one little uncalculated move. That's all it takes. So everybody stay safe. Make sure y'all subscribe up, like, comment, tell me what y'all think, and tell me what I should react to. Share this out. Turn me up.